So basically, in order to run the agent, make sure the first Java path is set, whether it's the permanent or the temporary. If you are doing it temporary, so you have to set this Java underscore home, which should be in the capital, something like this. Okay.
Again, sharing is gone.
Huh?
I think Notepad it is not able to. We are not able to.
You are not able to still see.
No.
Okay. Are you able to see now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm saying, so when you run your agent, make sure the Java home path is set as an environmental variable, and it should point to your JDK location. And after that, you should have, after that, make sure the path variable is set, something like this, Java home slash bin, and then path variable. Okay. Once your path is set, make sure you will hit that command, Java minus version. Okay, it should give you the Java version which you have set here. If it is giving the correct version, that's fine, which means that the Java home is set. After that, how you will install agent? So you need to make this command Java space minus jar connectivity agent.jar. Once you hit this command, it will ask the OIC user and then OIC password, right? And your connectivity agent will be installed successfully. Let's suppose I am running these commands in this terminal. So let's suppose this is terminal. If I simply close this terminal, my agent will come down. Okay. Now you don't want your agent to come down when you close this terminal. So for this, if you are using Linux, okay, what you can do, you can set this OIC underscore user and OIC underscore password two properties in your configuration file. And then you can run this command, something like this, Java space minus jar whatever it is, and then ampersand. Okay. So this command will install the connectivity agent in the background. And even if you close this window or the putty window, your agent will not come down. Okay. And it will create a file called nohub.java. So nohub.out, which you can open and then see the logs. So when you hit this command, okay, whether this command, it will generate one PID file in the same folder where your connectivity agent.jar is there. This PID will contain the process ID associated with this jar. On the Linux, you can kill this command using this command like kill -9 and then PID. This will shut down your connectivity agent.jar. On the Windows machine, if you want to run your agent in the background, so you need to use this command start/b. Okay. And then again, in the Windows, there will be a PID file which will be generated, which will contain the process ID. So in order to stop the connectivity agent.jar on the Windows machine, what you can do, you can open the processes, search that PID, and then kill that PID from the Windows machine. Then your agent will come down. Make sense? So it's like start space B. It's capital B, not small b. It makes sense to everyone? Any question, any confusion on this?
Yeah, after start/b, we have to give this data.jar again, right, Ankur? That is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, so you need to give this connectivity agent.jar.
I think I missed this one.
So basically, yeah. This command is specific to Windows. So this is the command to run something in the background. So obviously you have to give this command to run. This is the command to run the agent, but this command is to run the agent in background. So not only the agent, this command will be used to run any process in the background on Windows. Similarly, in the Linux, no hub will be used.
And how to kill PID in Windows?
Can you repeat that?
How to kill PID in Windows?
Okay, so when you will start your agent on Windows, the PID file will be created. You can open that PID file.
Okay.
You can open that PID file and then see the PID. You can open the task manager. You go to the process, search this PID and then kill it. Make sense?
Tanku, yes, one more last question. In case if I use the first two commands, when the command prompt is closed, that session will vanish. Second time when I use the start B, so there in that folder, I will see two files. One is PID underscore backup, and the one is PID, which is the current session, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Or
PID
am I
backup,
wrong?
I have not seen that in the Windows, but yes, PID file is there, which will have the current ID. Oh, yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's now clear, but it was little confusing when we were doing. I was doing. Thanks.
Is this clear now?
Yes, I'm clear now.
Any question, anyone? Okay. Now let's start this session. Okay. Hope my screen is visible. The presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So today is the 7th day, and today we are going to look at how to schedule integrations. Last time we have built one schedule integration, and today we will see how to schedule it actually. iCal expression, iCal, what is the iCal expression? How to use it? I will explain that. How to maintain the last run date time in the schedule integration, which is very, very important. ATP adapter, we will look at that, and then ATP operations, how to use ATP adapter and how to perform different operations of the ATP adapter. In the last class, we have created one schedule integration which was used to read the large file and was creating different the 200 data file on the FTP location itself. Is there any question on this, guys? Okay. So now, let's suppose you have created one schedule integration, and in order to test the schedule integration, you can simply click here and then submit now. When you click on submit now, your integration will be submitted on an ad hoc basis. Now, let's suppose your integration is completed, successfully tested. Now you want to move it on your production, and on the production, you want to set some frequency. So how to set the frequency for this schedule integration? So when you hover on this schedule integration, click on this action menu, and on this action menu, you will see add schedule. Okay, click on this add schedule. Once you click on add schedule, you will be landed onto this schedule page where you will see the define currency, simple, and then iCal. There are two options here. One is the simple and the second is iCal. Let's cover the simple first. Frequency. So now you can set the frequency of your integration. Only once you can click on this hours minute, wherein you can define hours. Every hour, let's say every hour I want to run this integration, or I want to run this integration every 1 hour 30 minutes. You can do this. If you don't need this hours minute, you can do days as well. You can run your integration in every 2 days. You can run your integration in every 3 days, whatever you want. Weeks, you can run your integration weekly. Also, if you click on this, okay, yeah, if you click on this weeks, you have option to select which week of the month you want to run. first, second, third, fourth, or the last week of the every month. So there's a requirement also wherein you need to run one integration which can run last week of every month. You can decide this. Days. Days also, you can define days, and you can define the days of the week. You can define days. Okay, you can define the day of every month as well. So here you have this option to select like first, second, third, which date you want to run. You have the months option as well. Every month, twice in a month, thrice in a month, or you can months of the year. You can decide the specific month year too. And here, let's suppose you define the frequency every 1 hour. Okay, in an hour, when you want to start your schedule, by default, when schedule is start, as soon as you save this and start it, your frequency will be defined from now. But let's suppose you wanted to say, I want to start from a particular specific date and time. Let's say 27th. I want to run my integration from 27th of April, 12 a.m. You can do that too. You can say when schedule start until you can define the expiry date of your schedule integration to like this. So you have this calendar. You can set the time zone of your schedule, in which time zone you want to run your integration. By default, it will be this time zone will be the default time zone depending on your OIC preference. Right? So by default, it is in the India. So you can select this time zone and then your time zone will be selected automatically for that particular schedule integration. Okay, let's suppose this integration is defined. My schedule frequency is defined 1 hour every hour. Click on a save. And date and time cannot be before. Sometimes creates a problem. Discard. Okay, save. Save. Go back. Now here you just created the schedule and you can click here. Not this one. This one. Edit. Now to edit it again. If you want to view, you can view your schedule by clicking on this. So it says the schedule will run every hour. Now you just define the frequency. You have not started your schedule. Now in order to start it, you simply click here and then let's say confirm. Schedule is now active. When your schedule is active, you can view the future run of your schedules. So now the next schedule will run at this time, 9:20 p.m. IST, 10:20 p.m. IST, 11:20 p.m. IST. So by default, you will be able to view the schedule of the next 24 hours. So if you want to view more, you can view more. If you want to delete the upcoming schedule, you have an option. You can simply click on a delete about, then this time the integration will not run, and then only 10:20 that at the 10:20 the integration will be started. So upcoming schedules you can delete it as well. And you can see the state is wait, instance ID this, and the reason the job request is yet to be processed because it is scheduled at this. Let's suppose you are doing some maintenance activity due to which you want to stop your schedule. So you have an option to stop it as well. Now your integration schedule temporarily pause, future runs suspended. Similarly, you can resume it. Now, let's suppose this is your requirement. Okay, sometimes what happens, confirm. Now I want to edit my schedule. Let's suppose the simple frequency which are defined here is not meeting your requirement, and you have another requirement wherein you want to run your schedules for a particular hour, particular minutes. Let's say every 8 o'clock 30 minutes in the morning, similarly at 8 o'clock 30 minutes in the evening, and you want to add more and more. But such kind of complexity is you cannot meet from this simple frequency. So for this, you have to use the iCal expression. iCal expression is nothing. It is the simple expression wherein you define the expression that is called iCal, wherein you will say my integration should run every day at this particular day and time. You can define it. So let me just take this one frequency from my notepad and then we'll show you. So here, these are the standard keywords actually. The frequency is a standard keyword, monthly is a standard keyword. Okay. So here you can see frequency monthly. I want to run my integration on a monthly basis, and by month day it will be every 1st, 10th and 15th. So my integration will run on 1st, 10th and then 15th. By hour means 5, 15. It will run on 115, 10, 15, 15 means 315 and then 815, and then validate your expression. Now my iCal expression is valid, so it will run on this particular date. If you want to define more, you can simply copy this expression and then separate it with this colon, semicolon, and then define it, and you can say daily, something like this, and validate. Maybe it is conflicting, it's not working, but yes, you can define the iCal expression something like this. So these iCal expression you can easily find on Google. Validate expression, let's suppose valid. Let's save it and then go back. And now start your schedule and then confirm. Now in the next 24, I don't have any run. Let's try to filter it out and let's say next 3 months. So now my next integration will run on 1st May at 5:15, 1st May 10:15, 3:15, 8:15, and then 5:15. You see something like this. And if you want to submit now on an ad hoc basis, you can do that as well. If you want to delete your schedule, you can do that as well. And here we have one more feature, update submitter. Okay, by default, the logged in, the new submitter will be this user, logged in user. If you want to have another user, you can search user. Okay. Okay, so I have another user. Now I want this user will submit my integration. Means you can change the submitter as well. So this is a new feature. Actually, it was not earlier, but yes, there might be some specific requirement that you don't want to run your integration from particular user, but yes, you have one common user which you want to define it, but it does not matter much. Make sense? Any question on this? Now another thing which I wanted to show you how to maintain the last run date. So there might be a requirement, and this is a very frequent requirement, wherein you want to define the schedule integration. And in that integration, you want to get the delta data or the incremental data. Incremental data means only the updated or the newly created record of from the last run date. Means between the last run date and the current date, you want to get the data from the source system. Let's suppose you have one HRMS system, and in that HRMS system, the employee keeps creating and then updated. And you need only the incremental employees from the HRMS system basis on a date, and then want to push these records to a downstream application. For such kind of requirement, you may need to maintain the last run date of the integration so that you can send this last run date to the source system and can get the incremental data. So let's see how to do this. So schedule integration, select, let's say, last run date. Now here, when you define the schedule integration, you have an option to edit schedule definition. So this edit schedule definition, not this one, sorry. Here. What you need to do? You need to simply click here and then click on edit. So when you click on edit, this window will open, which will allow you to define the scheduled parameters. And you can create maximum 5 variables in the scheduled parameters list, which means the parameter which you define, these are called the scheduled parameters that are the global variables and will be maintained throughout the integration. Whatever value you have changed in one integration, you can get that value into another integration. So let's say I want to create one variable and the name of this variable is last run date and then time. Okay, I want to keep the default value as a blank. Okay, and whatever value you want to give, you can give as a default value. Close. Fine. Now what I want to print that last run date before the integration is start. So I will use the logger activity here and will say logger always and then edit. So I am saying concat last run date and time, and this is my last run date and time. This is the variable which I have created at the schedule level. Now let's suppose you want to perform more and more activities. You want to call your system, get the data and send to your downstream application. And you can use this date in any call. After your all the activities will be finished here, I want to update this variable with the start time of this integration. So how you can update the variables? I will use the assign activity here and let's say reassign variable and then create. Click on this plus button. Let's suppose you have created the variable earlier and you want to reassign it. So you can click here and then whatever variables you have, you can view it here. And then click on this edit, and now I want to use this start time. So this start time will be the start time of the integration one. Close. Now let me just enable the tracking and then we'll show you how it works is actually. Okay. Save. Close. Now let me just activate this integration. Okay, so here when you try to activate this integration, you have an option activate and schedule. When you click on activate and schedule, it will integration will be activated and it will take you to the scheduled screen from where you can schedule it. But if you click on simply activate, it will be activated and it will not take you to the schedule integration, schedule screen. Fine. Now in this integration, we have defined one schedule parameter. So when you define the schedule parameter and when you will try to submit now, okay, it will show you the parameter list and will show you what is the default value, what is the current value, and what is the new value. So here you have a provision to pass to override this current value. Okay, let's try to submit now. Now integration is submitted. Let me just okay, receive, integration completed. Here you can see the last run date, nothing, blank, and here you can see log message is last run date and time it's blank, because initially I have defined the last run date time as a blank. And you can see message received by assignment reassign message, and you can see the last run date has been updated with the start time of this integration. And you can see if I hover it, you can see the time is 15:302, which has been defined into the this variable 53:2. Now when I will hit this integration, in this last run date time, this date should be printed. So this is the last run date of this integration. Now let's again try to submit now, and you will see the difference between the previous and this run. You can see the current value 15:302, which is the last date and time of the integration 15:32. And now when I submit this integration has been submitted. Now refresh it. Here you see the business identifier. Even if you see here, you can see this date is the last run date time of the integration. And this time again, this date has been assigned to the last underscore run underscore date time variable. Now you can use this date and time initially to get the data from your sys source system and pass this to it. This is how you maintain the last run date time in the integration. And this is very, very important use case. Any question, anyone? Okay. Now, I wanted to show you another feature of the scheduled integration, which is introduced recently. Let's suppose you have created one schedule integration and you have defined a lot of functionality. But later you don't want this integration to be the schedule integration and you want this integration as the app driven. Right? So what you can do, you can change the schedule trigger with the REST adapter only as of now. So here you see convert to REST trigger, which means the scheduled integration can be converted to the REST trigger based integration. If you click on this convert to REST trigger, it will show you all the REST adapters. In the current release, you can only change the scheduled trigger to the REST only. So if you want to replace this schedule with another adapter like SOAP or the SFDC or the ServiceNow, you cannot do that. This is the only thing which you can do, means you can only replace this schedule with the REST. Trigger Next, trigger temp convert. Now here you see, this is your app driven. So your integration from schedule to REST driven has been converted. And here you see, whatever date you have used, it has also been deleted. But if you have created app driven, you don't have this option actually. In the app driven, you cannot convert your trigger. I hope this is clear to everyone.
Here, if at all from schedule to app driven, from again app driven to schedule also, it's not possible.
No, it's not
Same
possible. I
integration.
showcased you now. So now
Yeah,
your app driven. And if you want to update it in the schedule, you cannot do this. Only schedule to REST trigger is possible as of now. But maybe in the future release, that will make possible. Maybe Oracle will make that possible.
Okay.
Okay. One more thing of the schedule one is, let's suppose someone want to trigger your integration from outside the OIC, the schedule one. So here for each and every schedule also you have this REST API. So this is your post actually. So you can give this post API. This is not GET, this is post. Someone, you can give this endpoint to anyone and they will simply call this as a post API. They need to pass username, password, and this will be called and your integration will be hit from the, you can try it. So this is the REST endpoint of the scheduled integration, which you can use to call it from outside. Okay. Now our scheduled integration is covered. Let's proceed further and let's try to use another important adapter called ATP adapter. What ATP is, guys? Do you have any idea about ATP? What ATP is? Anyone, any idea about ATP?
Available to promise.
Huh?
Is it from supply chain, like available to promise?
No.
That,
No.
It's ATP database.
Yes, correct. So basically what ATP is, ATP stands for Autonomous Transaction Processing Database. It is the Oracle cloud offering. So you may have used the on-prem database or you have used the DBAS database. Now, in order to install these, you must have the installer in place so that you can install it on some machine. But for the DBAS, you don't need installer. You simply need some wizard to provision it from the cloud instance. But yes, for the DBAS or the on-premise database, you have to do a lot of activities. Like for any issues comes in your database, you may need to apply patches time to time. You may need to upgrade your database time to time. And there's no 100% surety of the uptime. If your machines are down, your database will come down. So there are a lot of things which you need to do in terms of the maintenance. So Oracle has launched one Oracle cloud database called ATP, which is the self-repair database. If anything goes wrong with the database, it will be self-repaired. Any maintenance activity will happen automatically on that database. If any patch is required, any upgradation is required, that will happen automatically without your intervention. And there are a lot of security kind of involvement in the ATP database as well. But yes, the base of this ATP database is Oracle database. Whatever you can do in your Oracle database, you can do the same in your ATP database as well, plus lot of new features. In OIC, there's an adapter called ATP, which you can use to connect to your ATP database. In order to use the ATP adapter, you must have the ATP instance. If you don't have it, don't worry. Oracle provides this ATP instance free forever. You can use it from your cloud instance. But yes, this is not for enterprise. This is only for, for your practice purpose or for your POC purpose. But yes, you will have the lifetime free this database. Now, in order to provision a new database, the ATP database, you should have the cloud credentials. From the cloud dashboard, click on this hamburger menu. So this menu has also been changed. Maybe this is not reflected here, but yes, when you will try to create a new instance or new thing, you will see the totally different menus here. But yes, I have seen that few instances has been upgraded. I don't know why it is not reflected here. But yes, if you go to the announcements, let's see. Quarterly maintenance. Okay, might be it is scheduled for some other day. So that's fine. So here you see, if you click on this hamburger menu, you have this option autonomous transaction processing. Click on that. And here, click on this create autonomous database. You have a lot of options. Display name is the friendly name. You can give anything. Let's say my Oracle ATP. Okay. Database name will become your, you can say DAV ATP. It should be the unique. So that database name will become your SID or the service name. So you have the workload type. I am not just explaining it because it's specific to the ATP. You can choose the deployment type, the configure the database, minimum 1 GB, 1 TB, 1 TB for the paid one. But if you use the free one, you will have only the half of the TB and 1 OCPU. So password. So by default, the admin user will be created and you can define any password here. Let me just create any password here and then confirm password. Choose network type. You can secure your ATP database. You can provision your ATP database in the private cloud network, but for the free, it is not available. And you can configure the access control rules. You can define the IPs to whitelist so that only the few IPs can access their database. And click on a create autonomous. So as soon as you click on a create database, it will start provisioning and you can see the information like the DAV ATP, the storage will be 20 GB, OCPU will be 1, and then OCID. So it will take few minutes to provision. And here with that ATP, you will have the Apex as well. Instance name, my Oracle ATP. Let it provision, then I will show you. In meanwhile, let's go to the OIC and here go to the connections and click on a create button and you can search your ATP, Oracle ATP, and then select. You can say Oracle ATP connection. And here you can use trigger invoke, and yes, this cannot be used at the trigger point. So it can only be used as an invoke. So here you need to provide the host, port, SID or the service name and their security. It can be over SSL, like you have to upload the wallet. I will show you how to extract the wallet and then wallet password. The service username, that will be an admin as of now, and then service password. If you have provisioned your ATP database in the virtual cloud network, then you cannot connect this ATP directly. You have to install agent and then you have to click on a configure agent to provide the agent group. And one more option, JDB basic authentication. If you choose JDB basic authentication, you have to enter only the username password, but it is not much secure. So Oracle recommends to use JDBC over SSL, wherein you need to provide the the wallet. Let's go here. Yeah, here you see it's available now. So let's take our different tools of the ATP. So with ATP, you will see the different tools. If you go here, you can see open database actions. Click here, which will take you to this screen, wherein you need to enter the user, let's say admin, and then next. The username will be assigned automatically and the admin password here. Now here you see Oracle database actions. You have a different development tools like SQL, data modeler, data load, catalog, business model, data insight, JSON, REST, Apex. So click on the SQL, which will open the SQL developer on web, which you can use to define different objects like you do for your databases. Like you can create table, you can create views, indexes, packages, functions, whatever you want. In order to select a particular object, select object name here, and from here click on a create object, and this wizard will be open to create a table. Let's create a table, let's say employee, and in order to create multiple columns, you can create it, let's say ID, you can say it's a number, and then it's a PK. You can say first name, say last name. It's not a PK. Age, qualification, and that email. Okay, so this is how you can create tables. Constraints you can define here. You can define the table constraints, you can foreign key, indexes, and you can do much. Create. The table has been created, and then close it. Yeah, here you see the table has been created, and on this worksheet you can do your queries. Right, no items to display. Go here and you have other different tools. Again, if you open this, you have different other tools like JSON. I don't know how to use that actually. You can create your, so this is like the JSON database, which is fine. I don't need to use it. You have another like Apex. You can build your REST services based on the tables. Maybe that will be the same password. I don't know how to use Apex, but yes, if someone knows it, they can use that Apex. Okay. Now let's try to create the connection in a OIC. So for this, I need to go to the DB connection. So this DB connection will allow me to download a wallet. So click on this DB connection and then download wallet. And here you have to enter the password. The password you enter here, this is not your admin password, which you have given while creating your ATP instance. It is a totally different. You can give a completely different password. So this is used to secure your wallet and then download. A wallet is nothing. It is the zip file, which will have a different files like tnsname.ora, which will define different kind of services. So this is the wallet. Now go ahead on this, and here you see host port SID. Host port SID is only required if your ATP, you have configured your ATP in the secure network, then only this is required, host, port, and then SID. Let me just open that zip file and we'll show you different files here. Just hold on, please. Yeah, so I have extracted this zip file, and I hope you can see the different file SSO, the JKS file, ojdbc.properties, sqlnet.aura, tnsname.aura, and then trust key. So let me just open any one of the file. I will show you. So here you see this tnsname.aura contains different entries. Here you see dev ATP, which you have given. No. Yeah. So here you see dev ATP underscore high. So this is the service name. This is the another service name low. This is the another service name medium, then TP, and then TP urgent. So there are different service names which will be created automatically. You can use any one of them. Of course, there will be a different purpose of different service, which I am not aware of, but this is more over to the ATP. So I will use this dev ATP high as a service name. We'll go back our OIC, and here I will enter the service name. Okay, and I will use this JDBC over SSL. I will use the password wallet here. Let me just upload the wallet. Upload and then password here. This is the wallet password, and here your admin. If everything is okay, your connection should be tested successfully. Now my connection is tested. We can go ahead and then use it. Any question on this ATP provisioning or the ATP adapter?
Ankur, Tejeshwari here. Can you explain any business scenario like Apex application we see when Oracle sells it? Apex database. So Apex application is used for inbuilt small, mini, less volume data business application in-house, I can say. Similarly, in the ATP database, in the real scenario, can you just
I will not be able to explain it much because it's more over to the ATP. If it is OIC specific, then yes, I would have to answer it.
Okay. I mean, is it something new which along with the cloud Oracle is providing ATP database at free of cost?
Basically it's not a free service. It's free service like we are using for our POC or somewhere we wanted to use it. But for the enterprise wide, absolutely enterprise have to buy it.
Okay. Because Apex by default it is free of the cost when Oracle is giving non-prem. Yeah.
With ATP also it's free.
Okay.
Deepak this side. I've got one question regarding the ATP. Actually, in our organization, we got requirement. There are plenty of Apex report in release 12 version, and they wanted to move all the Apex report into the Fusion Cloud.
Deepak, can you please repeat yourself?
Can you hear me properly?
I can, yes, I can.
Okay. The requirement is actually, we have got multiple Apex report, finance report.
Can you please speak louder, Deepak?
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay. So what I'm saying, basically, we just want to migrate the Apex report into the Oracle Fusion Cloud. So is there any way to use ATP adapter and how to use it?
Where?
In Fusion.
So ATP adapter, yes, you can connect, I guess. So there will be some libraries of the ATP as well, which you can use to connect to the ATP. Like we connect our Oracle database in Java core or the .NET core. Or maybe in Fusion. Okay, Fusion, I guess what you can do, you can create the APAC services and maybe the REST APIs will be exposed and then you can use it.
Okay. Because currently, what is happening, I'm just trying to just fetch all the SQL queries from the release 12,
Hmm.
and I'm doing some mapping whether this table exists in the Oracle Fusion Cloud or not. If it is not, then we have to just find some other solution. So
Okay.
that's why I'm just thinking, is there any connectivity we can directly call the Apex report or the old database and connect into the Oracle Fusion Cloud?
No idea.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Ankur, Vibhuti this side, I have a question here. Like, can we create records to these tables that were in the tables that we have created in ATP? In this ATP database table, like employee you have created.
You will insert record in that for sure. Yes.
Okay.
I will show you the next sign. The next integration is for that only. Okay. So let's try to build some integration, okay, which will interact with database. So let me just try to build some REST API. So let's click on a create button and let's say app driven orchestration and then select, and here I'll say ATP operations. Click on a create button. So here I am going to define one REST API. And here I'll say REST. And I'll say REST operations. So again, I wanted to create a multi-verb REST API, which will perform different operations. Okay, let's say create employees. Okay, and here I'll say employees. Okay, employees, and sorry, it will be a post, and here I'll say configure a request payload for this endpoint and then response and then next. I will define a JSON sample here and let's say inline, and I will say an array of an employee, which will be like ID, first name, last name, age, and then email address. Okay.
Qualification is missed in bit after age.
Qualification. Yeah, correct. Thank you. Just copy that. Okay. And then next, and I will say JSON. I'm sorry. And here I will say status. Next. Create employees. Next. Sorry, I will create more operations. I'll say get employees. Employee. That will be a get. I wanted to fetch all the employees actually. Okay. So I'm not passing any parameter here. Next. Back and then next. JSON. And I wanted to use the same structure to get the data. Next. I want to create one more option here. Let's say get by ID. Here I'll say employee ID. And then here configure this response. I'll say this as a integer. Next, and then JSON sample here inline. So here I only want to get a specific record. Okay. Next, so I'm just checking something here on this get employees. I just put so this is the missing actually, because it will give the multiple records. Okay, fine. Next, and then I'll say update. I'll say create or update. Okay, create or update. Employee that will be put configure this and then payload also. JSON sample inline, and I will not use ID because ID I am taking from okay. Okay, next, and then JSON sample inline and that status. Okay. So here, what I have done, I have created 4 different operations. One as a create employees, which will take the array of the employees and will create all these employees in a database. I have created another operation called get employees, wherein I will not pass anything and will get all the data from my database. Get by ID, herein I will pass the employee ID and will get the data of that particular employee ID. Another option is create or update. I will pass the employee ID and the information of the employee and we'll see if user exists. If exists, then update, otherwise create it. Next, and then finish. So let's try to define create employees. So now I want to use the ATP adapter. So here I will use the ATP adapter. And let's say insert employees. Okay. So here, what operation do you want to perform? I have a different options to select, like invoke a stored procedure. If you have any stored procedure defined in your ATP database, which you want to call, you can select this option, click on the next. You have to define the schema. You have to select the schema where your packages are, and then you have to select the package and then corresponding procedure. But I don't have as of now. You can run a SQL statement, select, and then you can perform a query here. Let's say select star from employee.
Ankur, can you take one more request for delete?
Yeah. Back and then perform an operation on a table. I will do that. Perform on an operation on a table like insert or update, and then select. Insert, perform on an operation on a table means you will have an option to select the table on the subsequent screen. You can directly insert the data in a table. You can update the data in a table. Insert or update, it's like based on the primary key defined in your table. Okay, it will insert or the update or the selected. So if you want me to define one more operation here, I can do that too. Edit. Delete. Employee. And here I'll say delete, and I will make this operation as a asynchronous one way. I'm not defining the response. Okay, delete. Next, right now here I have 5 branches now. In the create, let's select this ATP connection and let's say insert. I will choose this perform an operation on a table, insert. Next, on the next screen, you have to select the schema. My schema is admin. The object type, whether it's a table, view, or what, I will.
Ankur, sorry to interrupt you. While perform any DML operation, it's a delete statement is not there. So it's a new update or
No, delete actually perform on a operation on a table. When you select that, you will not have the delete actually. For the delete, you have to run the query.
run a SQL statement. That's
Yes.
the only option.
Yes. Select the table from here, click on the import
Earlier there
table.
or it was earlier there or it's removed?
No, it was not
earlier.
there. It was not there.
It's not there. Okay.
Okay,
Right.
import this table and review and manage the parent database table relationship. If you have multiple tables, you can manage the relationship from here. Review and filter the columns. If you want to reduce some columns, you can do it from here. You can deselect the columns from here. You can click on advanced options, like if you have any sequence, you want to use that sequence to insert them primary key, you can do that too. Cancel. Otherwise, next, and then done. Now here I have to map. So in a single call, you can insert multiple records at a time. You don't need to perform looping. So request wrapper, top level array, top level to employee, IT, first name, last name, age, qualification, and then email address.
What is this nil in mapping?
There it is.
No, that's the source side.
This one.
No, come top level. This one.
I don't know what is that. I will have to check that. What is that? So this nil actually, I will check.
Yeah.
I have also seen this first time, or maybe I have ignored it. But
I think first time. That's why I asked you. Maybe
yeah,
new
yeah,
something.
yeah. It may be something new. I will check that. And in that response, status create target node. So basically, these are not the synchronous operations. You can say success. Now get employees. Then again, I will put ATP connection here. I'll say fetch all employees. I will choose perform an operation on a table and then select next. Similarly, schema, select all the tables, search all the tables, employee import tables. Similarly, you can review and filter columns. You can review and edit SQL queries. See, this option I will show you in the next configuration, because I wanted to get all the columns, all the rows. So I'm not making any expression here. Fetch all employees response. and then get by ID Oracle ATP connection. I'll say get fetch employee by ID, and then perform an operation on a table, select next, and I will choose my schema here, import tables. Now here actually in this get by ID, I want to make a SQL expression, means I want to add the where clause. So for this, I will use this review and edit SQL query. Click on a edit, and here you can make a where clause by clicking on the SQL edit directly, or you can use the expression builder. Click on this expression builder, click on a add new criteria, and here first argument means on which operation you want to perform the where clause. By default, it will be the primary key. If you want to make where clause on a different column, you can do that too. Operator, and then literal, you can provide any different string here, hard coded, or you can say the parameter. I will create a parameter here. Let's say employee ID, and then okay. Here you see this where clause has been added. Select ID, first name, last name, age, qualification, email address from employee, where ID equals to employee ID. So this is the employee ID, which is the variable. Okay. Okay. Next, and then finish. So here in this request parameter, I need to pass what I need to map here. I need to map this employee ID. So this will come from my REST. And create or update. This is important option operation. Let's say merge. And here we have a operation called insert or update. So this insert or update operation will work on the primary key defined on a table. When you will pass the primary ID, so database will check automatically if that ID exists or not. If it is, then update that record, otherwise it will create a new record. So the primary key is required for this. If you don't have a primary key on defined on a table, you cannot perform this option actually. Okay. Next, and then run. So on this, here it is like a insert only. You will see everything ID, first name, last name, and ID is mandatory, which will come from my template parameter employee ID. Request wrapper and other values will come from here. Right, and okay, you can say the status as well. Create target node. Click on this. Get by ID. Okay, I forgot to map this response. This is the response which will come. Okay, and finally the delete operation. So for the delete operation, you have to run the SQL query. Delete employee. Because this perform an operation on a table don't have any delete operation. So you have to run a SQL statement. Next, and next. And here you can say delete employee. Their ID equals to, and now if you want to define any bind parameter, you can say employee ID. Validate. What happened?
Delete from employee. From
Delete from employee table or employees. No,
Yeah.
semicolon is not required. Okay. Till the time you click on a validate SQL query and it gives success, you will not be able to perform next. Okay. And then done. Here I have to pass the employee ID. Right now, all my 5 operations has been completed. Now what I need to do? I need to define the tracking parameter one by one. Save. Get employees. Relative. Get my ID. Create an update. And then delete one. Fine. Now let's activate the integration and then try to test all the operations. Okay, so how many operations we have? 5. Let's try to test this first. Create employees. So here I have to pass the body. Okay, so let me just pass different users here. One, two, two. Perform and then MBA. Could not be converted to big decimal. Okay.
data type error, I believe.
Got
I
it.
think ID is not a string.
No, but I have defined the string actually. No problem.
ID was number.
You can change directly in the DB making that ID as a
I
string.
don't want this actually. I will change it here. Okay. Creator update, that's fine. Get employees also I need to update little bit. Delete is fine. I guess delete. Just like this, integer only. Next. Employee. Fine. Delete I have checked. Creator update also. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, it will remove all this tracking. So when you change the trigger point, it removes your tracking actually. Okay, let's test it now. Delete employee, body, okay. Hmm.
ID in second passing the worker.
Hmm?
In ID2, just check. No, no,
Hold on.
no. Go in integration.
The JSON file.
SN file. I'm saying that second record. Yeah, first even.
Yeah, correct.
Still error.
I think one was already inserted and it's a primary key, so it's
No. It's not, you can insert it. Insert is the primary key error. No, it says string to no
Convert.
no.
age is a string. Age is worker 2 also.
Something like this.
Ankur, is it the sequence? Because the
No.
qualification and that, no issue, right? The table structure and the sequence what we define.
Let me see if it is double here. That's fine. Here, what is that? Not info. This is also decimal, that's fine. Execute. No, okay. My bad. I have not done this actually.
Oh, for each. For each.
Let's see. So this your test, right, in the map, it's very useful, right? Before you actually activate your integration now, you can try to test your mapping. You have done something wrong or what. Yeah. Now this is I'm okay. Success. Oh, what happened? No worries. I will see this. Here you see, two employee has been created in the table. Now, if you do this operation, get employees test. Here you can see all the data is here. Let's try to say get by ID. The URL parameter 1. Let's say 12. This time the error will come. Oh, nothing will come actually. And then delete employee. Let me create or update. Okay, let's say 1. In the body, okay, I'll say MCA. First name is Ankur. Kumar, let's say is 21. Success, and then here you see Ankur and then age. Let's try to delete this. Accepted, message received. Here you see. So this is how you can perform different operations. Any question on this?
Yeah, Ankur, I have one question. Actually, it's a use case which I need to cover. Suppose that there is a one table in database, ATP itself, let's say status. And based on the status, we need to insert in the employee table. For example, I'm just saying, and we need to suppose that status is Y, then only we should insert. Add status is N, then we should not insert. So how we can do this? First thing. Second thing is that we need to try at least 3 times after interval of 15 minutes.
Okay. So retry
Means
what
integration.
I will show
Within
you.
integration, we need to wait.
Yeah. So here, let me just open that integration. Okay, last run date only. We have one activity called wait.
Yeah, that's what I need to understand. Yeah.
Right. So this wait is very simple. Okay, and this wait will not work in the synchronous integration actually. Synchronous means wherein you have created REST API and you need to get the response. So in that case, this wait activity will not work. This wait activity will only work for the asynchronous one way, like the schedule integration. And if you have not defined the response here, I will show you. So let me just delete the response. Okay, the response is not here. Then why it is? Okay, maybe something. Date. Okay, so let me just do one thing now. Discard it. create, let's say app driven, or let's say schedule one. Okay. Wait. Now here is the stop. So here you can use this one. So in this wait, you can define anything. Let's say wait and then hours. Let's say 1 hour or the 1 minute or the 1 second and then description. So it will wait 1 hour, minutes, and then this one. So let's say 0, 0. You want to define for 15 minutes and then 0. Create. So when this integration will run till the time, so it will wait 15 minutes here, then only it will proceed further.
Ankur, I just want to wait for first 15 minutes. Status is no, then that's fine. Then after 15 minutes, again it try. So same there.
Okay. So what you can do, you can define a assign variable here. Okay. And let's say assign var. So you want to run this at least 3 times. Okay.
Yes.
Counter. So counter you can initialize with 1. Close. Or you can initialize with true, whatever you want. And then here we we have the while loop, right? In the while loop, I'd say while loop, you can say if counter is greater than, if counter less than equals to, sorry, if counter three, okay, this is my condition, and then you can reposition this wait here. What you can do, you can make your ATP database call here, let's say ATP, and I want to insert the data, okay, insert data. What is your query here? You are saying if it is, what is that?
This suppose that in ATP database there is a table status, for example, age status, and there is a flag status flag. It's a Y, then only insert. So, but integration
Then
should try
only,
at least
then only insert.
insert in the employee table.
Okay.
And integration should try at wait at least try after 15 minute interval of 3
So
times.
first,
Then only
what
close the integration.
got it. So first you have to do get. Okay, let's say get query. You can say perform an operation on a table and then select and then next. Let's say admin search import tables, or I am simply hitting the run as equal statement. Select. I am saying if select first name from employee. Done. Okay. So either it will return first name or not. So here, what you can do, you can say reposition. Sorry. You can make a switch here. Okay. And you can say if I'm just making a first name. Okay. Let's say if first name equals to Y, then you don't need to try, right? Otherwise, you need to try.
Yes. No, Y is in case whatever you can say. Y in Y
Whatever it
you
is.
should insert whatever you can. That's not a matter.
So if you want to do anything, you can do it here. And then you can reposition. Let's suppose in the otherwise you want to retry. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And here, instead of making this actually 1, I can say true or false. Okay. That's it, true. I want to continue this. And here I am saying if while loop is if counter equals to true, or let me make this condition mode and I will say counter equals to true. Till the time counter equals to true, then only run this. And here, okay, so no, sorry, my bad. You need to define at least 3 times, right?
Yes. But if in first attempt itself it get the y, then insert the data. If not, then wait for second attempt, third attempt. That's what.
So here you can say I was counter less than close. Okay. And here in the otherwise, what you can do, you can make your query and then you want to run out from the loop as well, right?
Yes.
Because it will success here. So what you can do, you can say assign here, assign, basically reassign actually. And here you can say my counter equals to 4. If it is 4, then it should, it
Then
will not,
complete it.
right? And here you can increase the counter like this.
Got it.
So this is simple logic. Make sense? So it will
Yeah.
retry 3 times. And then it will come out from your loop if it is exceeding. So this is how you can, retry anything. And this is the
I
only
got it.
mechanism.
Got it. One last question from my side. During the waiting time, Ankur, is there any resource consuming by YC means either chargeable resource? It's a business query.
No.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
No.
Suppose that 15 minute it's waiting, and during that time, either
No, there is no impact on the billing on this.
no impact.
The actually impact, so billing happens on the messages only. Okay,
So waiting.
might be not on waiting time, but yes, on the retry, it might cost you because you need to send the data to the target application, get the data, right? That it might
Yes.
cost you. So it depends on the
So,
retry. But on
so
the
during
waiting
waiting,
period, it's not a cost.
no waiting period, but during waiting time, it must because since integration has not completed, then it must be. I believe it's must be chargeable because it's not completed. It's waiting for some inputs from.
No.
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 Okay. Okay, then I will understand. Thank you. Thank you.
Any question, anyone on this? I hope this ATP is clear to everyone. Cool. Now I wanted to show you explain couple of things. The versioning and then cloning, how you can create different versions of the integration, how you can create clone of the, how you can make the cloning. So basically when you create a new integration, you will see the default version is 101.0.00.0000. So by default, this will be the version. So now let me just open my Notepad++. Okay. I hope it is visible to everyone, right? So whenever you create a new integration, it creates a version in this particular format, which is xx.yy.zz. That is called your measure. That is called your minor, and that is called your patch. So Oracle integration follow this particular format. By default, version will be 00.0000. Let's suppose you have created this integration or your integration is live with this version. Later, you need to update a few mapping. So instead of changing the major version, because you are doing only patching, you can create another version like this. You only do the patch. You may also need to change few other things and you don't want your consumers to impact. You can create 01.01.0001. But you have got a new complete requirement in your integration and you don't want, let's suppose you have created one REST API and this REST API is consumed by n number of consumers. Later you got a new enhancement which you need to perform and you don't want your consumers to be impacted. Okay, so what you can do, you can create a complete new version like this, right? And if you create a major version, the previous version URL will not be changed. So when you create this version, your integration URL something like this. When you change the version from this one to this one, the URL will also remain the same. If you change the minor version, then also your version will remain the same in the URL. But when you change the major version, the URL will become changed and the URL will have the version 2.0, which means only single integration in any one of the versions can be activated at the same time because the URL will not change. So only one same URL can be activated at the same time in the world. Let's say google.com. If google.com is there, you cannot have the same domain name. If you have one URL of the REST endpoint, you cannot have another URL from the same endpoint if it is public. But if you want to have the different URL, then you have to change the major version, which will be like 2.1. This one. But you can have something like this also. It is not mandatory. You have to keep the similar one. You can keep like this. So when you change this version from this to this and try to activate this integration, the previous version will be deactivated automatically. Similarly, in this case also, if you try to activate this version, the previous version will be deactivated because the URL will not change. But in this case, the URL will change. So this will remain active and this will remain active as well. So which means if you change the major version, then two integration can be activated at the same time. If you make another version like 3.0, then this can also be the active at the same time. Till the time you don't change the major version, you have to disable the previous one. So maybe you have used a lot of, let's suppose the ERP APIs. You may have used the 58 version of the API. You may have seen the 59 version. You may have seen the 60 version. Okay, when you use any one of the API, you have to pass the version actually, so that you can get to know which API version you want to use, which functionality you want to use. Hence, you passes the version there. If you will pass the 60 version, which means you are using the latest version of the API. And why basically why it is so? Why three versions are activated at the same time? Let's suppose in this API, you are using a API wherein the first name is coming as an output. And this output is consumed by ERP. Later, you want to change this. Actually, you want to have the app name. If you will not make the major version change, okay, and you activate this API, then this ERP consumer will be affected because you have changed the response. So in order to make this backward compatibility, you change the major version so that your previous consumers will not get impacted and they can change later. Similarly, here also you want to change another thing, let's say F name, something like this. So all three versions can be activated at the same time, and then slowly the consumers can change the new version so that they can get the new functionalities. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, Ankur.
Now let me just go to the integration and will show you how it works. So here you have seen this is the integration, okay, which I have created. And if you go here, you will see the endpoint. And here you see the version 1.0. So this V1 doesn't mean version 1. So this is the actual version of your integration, which is called 1.0. Now, let's suppose you want to do some changes in the integration. So you will create on this, you will click on this action menu and click on a create new version. And here you see by default, it will change the version 1. And here you can see quickly create a new major, minor or a patch version. Click on a create version. Now here you see ATP operations 100 and you see 101. Let's try to activate this integration. When you try to activate this integration, you will see this warning. Activating integration ATP operation 1.01 requires deactivating the 1.0. Are you sure you want to deactivate? The previous one will be deactivated automatically. Here you go. The 1.0 is deactivated now and 101 is activated. If you click here, you will see 1.0. The URL are exactly same. No change in the URL. Similarly, if you create a new version and instead of changing this patch version, you change here and try to activate. This time is 111. Also here you see 111 requires deactivating 101. Here we go. The 101 is deactivated, 111 is activated. But let me try. Okay, and the URL will remain the same. I will show you. 10. This time, let me just change the major version. Okay, 211. If you try to activate this, you will not see this warning here. And simply activate. Here we go. Both the integration 1.1 and 2.1 both are active. Now, if you see the URL here, 2.0. This is how you create the different versions of the integration. Best practice is always to create a new version if you want to make any changes in your live integration. Make sense to everyone?
Yes, Ankur.
I hope simple, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, Ankur.
Now another thing, this is a version. So when you create a new version, okay, this is the actually the new version. You can create a clone. The clone is totally separate a new integration. But when you create a new version, you will not be allowed to change the name and an identifier. You are only allowed to change the version. Okay, that represent this is the new version of the previous integration. But when you make a but when you make a clone is a copy. It's totally a new integration, you can say. When you create a new integration, you will have to keep the new name. If you will try to keep the similar name, you will get an error. You see, the clone integration you are trying to create already exists in the system. So, new. Format is incorrect. Enter the code using letter Z.
Caps.
Huh?
No, it should be in caps.
Oh, okay, correct. Yeah, and then create. So here you see you can keep the integration name same, but the identifier will be different. Here you can see all operations name, but it's always better to have the different names as well. So it's a replica, it's a copy of the previous integration, but the URL of both the integration will be different. If you activate this, you will see. You see it's ATP operations new. So identifier keeps so identifier will be added into your URL. ATP operations new, and in this you see the ATP operations. So this is how you create versions and you create clone of the integration. Any question, anyone on this, please? I hope it is clear to everyone.
Yes, Ankur.
Yes.
So I am done with today's session, guys. If you have any question, you can ask your question. And Santosh, I hope your question is still there regarding this connectivity agent. Santosh, you there?
Yes, Ankur.
Will have to-
Actually, today I am traveling.
Okay, no problem.
So I will ask tomorrow if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Okay, guys, so I am done with today's session. If you have any question, please let me know. Else we will meet tomorrow.
Ankur, tomorrow we have session because there is some discussion going on back Saturday only.
Yeah, and for Deepak decide, that is my concern actually.
Yeah,
I think
Deepak,
we
yeah.
should have
Yeah, sorry, I
one
forget.
session per week should be fine.
Deepak, can you repeat, please?
So what I'm saying, so is it possible to just make a one session per week?
Any specific reason?
The reason is actually, I'm alone at the moment, so I'll have to look after my son. My wife, she's in India, so it would be difficult to manage, 2 days to devote the 2 hours time. To be honest,
Oh,
even tomorrow is not possible for me because I'll have to just collect the grocery and all other house stuff.
got it.
That's the reason.
So, okay, no problem. So, can we extend our Saturday session to 2 to 3 hours? I don't know if everyone is okay with that.
I don't mind. I can just devote more time on Saturday.
We have a lot of people here. We have to take a bind from everyone, actually.
Yeah.
Guys, what do you think?
Yeah. Continuous 3 hours, it is little difficult
Huh?
to understand that. Continuous 3 hours, might be it is a long session.
Yeah.
We might lose the focus, Ankur.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
also
Yeah,
agree
yeah.
with Deepak because you're also not getting time to practice.
Yeah, I understand.
Continuous 3 hours will be difficult. Ankur. 2 hours is actually without getting up and totally.
So okay, so Deepak, what we
Listen.
can do is now, what we can do is we can reduce, the Sunday's time to, from 2 to 1.5 hours. Will you be able to manage that?
At the same time,
Yeah,
3 o'clock, half 3, 8 o'clock, you mean to say.
yeah.
I'll try to manage it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, then I will wrap up, and I hope everyone is getting the videos on the G Drive folder. Any question, any concern on this? Okay, guys, then I will stop the recording and then we will meet tomorrow, same time. Thank you. Bye-bye.